Get started. Thank you for those who have come in attendance and those live streaming, those watching later. Hopefully we will provide you with beneficial information regardless of what place you are at in this college journey. For those of you who have not met me yet, my name is Prang. I am the post-secondary counselor at Central High, and I have been at Central. This is year 24 for me. So I have served as specifically the post-secondary counselor for the past 10 years. And tonight's topics are really foundational for providing you all of the resources that are available, things that you can find within, whether it's our counseling site, a portal that we use called Naviance, and other local community resources that are available to all of our families. So this is more of an info share, demonstrations about how to access all of the resources. So the topics that we are going to go through tonight are really, certainly our counseling team is here to support you. We have a lot of valuable resources posted to our website. We try to keep that up to date and share as much information as possible. I will spend some time talking about the A+ scholarship program, which is an opportunity for students in the state of Missouri. A little bit about NCAA and AIA for those who are interested in pursuing college athletics, how to access some of those resources, or the visual or performing arts. So anytime you're taking a special talent to a college level, there are extra layers to the process, so just making sure everyone is aware of those things. We all like talking about standardized testing, right? So a little bit about the philosophy and the world of standardized testing, how it's playing into the college admissions process these days and potentially into the future, and then how to connect with colleges at local fairs. Your students can connect to them when they are here at Parkway Central and visiting campuses. So being more intentional as you enter the phases of high school, a lot of that just becomes reality. And if we wait until 12th grade to try to start doing some of those things, it's extremely overwhelming. I just spent the last week meeting, and today and tomorrow, meeting with all of the juniors in workshops. And, as I told them, they're applying to college in 9 months. So there were many gasps. So our seniors are in that world right now. Our juniors really are in that year of research, and the 9th and 10th graders, it really will be here before you know it. And so the earlier you start, I feel like there is no such thing as too early. So the more you can navigate through those processes when you're traveling, being intentional about getting on campus. And then we'll dive into Naviance, that portal that we use with students, and parents can also have accounts for that. So to get started, our counseling team, those of you who are familiar with how our process works, we have 4 comprehensive counselors that are assigned to students by their last name. So all of our students maintain relationships with that counselor for all 4 years of high school. And then really those counseling workshops, similar to what I was just mentioning, there's one every semester of high school. So in freshman year, all of the comprehensive counselors just met with all of the 9th graders in a counseling workshop. They also, the following week, met with all of the 10th graders. I have met with all of the juniors, and of course, the seniors as well. So we have workshops every semester of high school, and so those names on this side of the screen are going to be the connections for throughout high school. And I am happy to connect with, even though I have workshops with juniors and seniors, with students as early as 9th grade. And they schedule with me periodically, just depending on where they are in their journey. We also have a social worker, a care coordinator, and mental health providers in our office as well. So all of us are here to support families throughout high school. I am going to dive now a little bit into our website to show you all of the different resources that are available for college planning, for career research, the things that we ask students to do, the resources that are available. So connecting with any of us, all of our information is directly on the counseling page of our website. We have pages for every single grade level of high school, so you can click on, freshman class and see resources that are available all the way up till senior year, what you should be doing. So many students and families want to look ahead, and that allows them to see what would you be doing freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year. So we'll look at those individual pages. All of the workshops that we hold with students, we then post those slides onto the website, so families and students can go back to those resources and see those presentations similarly to these. So the live stream that is happening right now, it will be posted and available for watching at any time. We have an entire page on testing with resources for whether that's prep or when testing is happening. The PSAT, for those who are in 10th and 11th grade, was yesterday. And so all of that information was on our testing page as well. And then, of course, all of the college admission pieces. So when we look at how to access this, it's really going to the Parkway Central webpage, and across the banner, there's just counseling along the top. So as you can see on that main front page, how to contact our department assistants, the alpha breakdown and email addresses of all of the counselors, my information as well. And then running along the side is where you'll find information that you can get for all of these pieces. So our school profile is actually a valuable tool. We send that to every single college. So as students are applying to college, many of them have relationships with us, and they know and understand the curriculum that we offer and the demographics of our community. But this document is available for everyone, and it's available for students to look at. It's available for colleges to learn more about us. So as you look at our profile, something that can be valuable for you to see is the second page of that document is actually lists the matriculation of our students. So it allows you to see where are Central High students attending. So that in the last 4 years, and obviously it's too small for you to see at this moment, but that gives colleges an idea about will students from Central leave Missouri? Will they go to small schools? Will they go to extra large schools? So they're learning as much about our community as possible. Some of them who are newly trying to recruit for our students will look at this document and say, oh, well, if you have students who are interested in this school, we're very similar. We have a lot of overlaps of applications with that school. And so that helps me also expand the list of schools that they may want to consider. Something else that a lot of families, I think, are concerned about sometimes is that we are a non-ranking school district. And so as you start digging into applications, some of them will ask, what's your class rank? And we have not been ranking since, I think, the graduating class of 2016. And we transitioned to Latin honors. So students graduate with Latin honors based on their final high school GPA. So that section of our profile actually tells them, okay, we have summa cum laude, how many students from the last graduating class received that honor? And it says it's students with above a 4.0, right? So they're still getting a grasp on, okay, if I'm looking at this individual student's GPA, then I can see kind of, okay, they are in the top section of that class. They're in the middle section. So the Latin honors is what we use, and really we've seen a significant benefit in admissions, in scholarship opportunities, because many schools were admitting the valedictorian, right? Or they were saying you have to be in the top, 10% of your class to earn this particular scholarship. And when you take out that ranking and you're standing alone, you might be the only applicant from your school that's applying to that university, and we don't share, like the highest GPA in our class is a 4.7. They're not going to know or know what that context looks like. So for them, maybe that 4.2, you could be number one, right? But if I assign you a number, then they know that you're where you fall within that class, and really more students have been benefiting from scholarships, from admissions, as we transition to a non-ranking school, which most of the schools in the St. Louis region operate as. So that profile is available for colleges, for you to see. As you navigate down, the class pages that I spoke about before, so resources for the freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year. So I'm just going to click on the junior class. As I mentioned, I've just finished meeting. I have one more presentation to go tomorrow, one more workshop. So the counseling workshop, so semester 1 indicates I have a workshop. It's during English in the fall. After I finish that last workshop tomorrow, all of the slides will be posted onto that page. Then we have resources that we went through together in those workshops. Finding the Best Fit College is a page that we spent a significant amount of time on. So I'll share that with you. My personal philosophy for finding the best college is that you are finding something that's a good fit for you academically, socially, and financially. And I really, in that research, want students to navigate through what does that mean for them. A junior today said, should one weigh more than the other? And really, that's your own personal preference. But I want you to be thinking about, is this a good school for me academically? Is it challenging you appropriately? Is it, have the programs that you are interested in, the internships, the research opportunities, whatever that may look like? Are the class sizes going to be a good fit for you? We talk about, could you come into the theater and listen to a professor on a microphone? Do you need to have personal relationships with all of your teachers? And what does that look and feel like? As you look through some of the resources, students with IEP or 504 plans, if accommodations are something that you're used to in high school, and you are going to need similar accommodations in college, that's a part of that academic research. What supports are available, what are the resources that you're going to be able to connect with, and so that layer of academic support blends in with, is this a good fit school for you? In the social fit, my simple sentence for looking at that is, are your people there? Are you going to find a place where you feel like you belong, where you feel honored and valued and respected, and are you going to find the activities and events that you want to engage in while you're on campus? Because it could be a great academic fit for you, but if you're not integrating into the community, you might not be happy there. And so there's layers of research and some of the examples that we went through, looking at the diversity of the campus, looking at the if there are cultures or religions that you feel like I need that to be a part of my college community, resources, digging into that, seeing what's available to you, so that you're looking at it in multiple lenses. And then, of course, the financial fit. And the students are like, why do we need to worry about that, right? But we do. We talk like college is very expensive, and there are options that are available to students, whether that's, we'll talk a little bit about the A+ scholarship program, and we talk, you can start and get your first 2 years of college for free, and that cuts the cost of your bachelor's degree in half. And then there are schools that are not giving any scholarships at all for your merit, right? I've achieved greatness. I have a significantly high academic profile, and my reward is simply getting in, because everyone they're admitting has a similar profile, and so there's no merit scholarship involved. The only support would come from need-based aid. So schools that are highly selective, most of them are not offering merit scholarships. So we talk about, like, you have to know what's your budget, and that can be a very difficult conversation. And the length of time that you might be in college. So is your bachelor's degree a sufficient degree for your career path? Are you going to need graduate school or professional school? So as you think about your budget for college, that you're thinking, is this for 4 years? Is this for 6 years? Is this for 8 years? And what makes sense? So every single school, you're going to be able to find the sticker price, right? The cost of attendance. And as I mentioned to the juniors this week and last week, it really is in-state public, on average, is around $20,000 to $25,000 a year. Out-of-state usually doubles, $40,000 to $50,000 a year, and private is usually triple, around $60,000 to $80,000 a year. Very simple terms, but 20, 40, 60, up to 25, 50, 80, and everything in between. But the sticker price is certainly not what most are paying. Are you getting grants? Are you getting scholarships? What is available? So all of the schools are mandated to have what's called a net price calculator. That is a site that you can go to. You can type in a school. It does ask for some financial information, trying to assess the family's ability to pay, as well as integrating in some academic merit. And then that gives the family a better idea of not just the sticker price, but what the actual average cost for a student with that profile might look like at that institution. So we don't want to automatically cross a school off of our list because of the sticker price. We want to dig in a little bit deeper. Are there scholarships? What is the budget? And what would that net price look like? The FAFSA is an application that determines families' contribution for college. It's an annual application. We have a whole night on it in a couple of weeks, but it is being revamped this year, so the application for seniors it's on track to be opening in December. It's typically on October 1st. So going next year and beyond, it should be back to that October 1st opening. But it's an annual application where you submit information and they determine what you are able to pay, and then the colleges use that to create financial aid packages. The FAFSA you are able to send that to any school in the country. The CSS profile is more for private or some public schools who have very large endowments, and they can gift or grant students money based on a very different criteria for need. So students who might not show any eligibility for need for financial aid through the FAFSA could still qualify for need-based aid through grants using the CSS profile. So all of those are things to research. We post all scholarships that we are asked to advertise in a site called Naviance that we're going to spend time in at the end, so I'll show you that. There are local databases that are part of Naviance. My Scholarship Central is a St. Louis Metro database. Going Mary is a national database of scholarships. Inside Naviance, there's also a database of 3.5 million scholarships. So there are scholarships available, but it's a lot of work. And sometimes it's a lot of work for little reward. And I always say, like, focus locally and see what you're eligible for. The largest value of scholarship is going to come from the universities. So that's where you'll see the schools that have the best scholarship offers. That's the bulk of the money to reduce the cost. The individual scholarships from companies, organizations, our amazing PTO, right? Like, that's $500. Like, you're adding up little things here and there to help with books, to help with expenses. But to get significant scholarships, most of those, the route is choosing colleges that offer significant merit. And one of the resources that I post on this particular page that seems to be very popular is annually I kept getting, Mrs. Prang, I really want to go to a big school with Division I sports, but please, I don't want it to be in the state of Missouri. I want to go away. And then they look at the sticker price, and as I said, it's like double. What can happen? What's available? What schools can help me reduce that cost? So this document is just something I created, and it is automatic out-of-state scholarships. So what you're searching for is schools that are not in Missouri that actually give automatic awards to non-residents. There are these myths out there that certain schools like have a Midwest agreement and I automatically get in-state tuition in these other destinations. And that is really, really rare. What you're looking for is an actual scholarship that you earn with your GPA. And it's tiered, usually based on that. So a couple of schools that have become popular over the past few years, we have students who go to KU. We have students who go to Arkansas. And they are saying, oh, I have in-state tuition. What they're actually doing is earning a scholarship based on their GPA. So this particular resource simply takes you directly to the page that explains what resources are available at those schools. So if I click on, let's see, since I gave the example, I'll just click on the University of Kentucky. When you click on Kentucky, obviously we are not Kentucky residents, right? So we have to continue scrolling until we see that chart for non-residents. So when we look at these non-resident scholarships, notice that it's based on a GPA. It's based on maybe a GPA with a test score. So we'll talk about, do you send test scores? Do you not send test scores? All of this is off of the out-of-state rate. So, right, we're doubling potentially the cost of attendance, but then we're finding a scholarship that has a high value. And that high value, as you notice, comes with that higher GPA. So when I look at the $12,500 a year, if I don't send a test score, I have an unweighted 3.8 GPA. If I do send a test score, I have a 3.5 unweighted GPA and a 30. Gives me that $12,500 a year. That does not cover the difference between in-state and out-of-state, but it's reducing it, right? So it's giving us other options that might be available. So I've simply created this document to help in exploring other ideas and options. Just because a school is not on this list doesn't mean they don't give scholarships. It means that it might not be automatic with a specific ACT or GPA. It might be reading essays and giving, looking at your resume and letters of recommendation. So there's no formula, and so you can't predict what you might get. You can certainly do those net price calculators that are on the website, but this list is specifically, okay, we have Division I sports, we're these bigger institutions, we're out of state, and we give rewards. As you look at the list, there are some schools. So if I click simply on Illinois State, their description is, oh, you're out of state? Great, you get in-state tuition. That's it. So there are a few that award things like this, but it's part of, and as I told the students, it's part of your research. Is this a good fit for you academically, socially, financially? If budget is not a part of anything that you are concerned about, then let them know that. And that really they're looking more in that social and financial piece. So that is the junior class page. Of course, there are pages for every grade level and the resources that are there. As you can see, I'll go through. I think I will go back to this and talk briefly before I click on the site about that A+ program. It is a scholarship. It's available to all students in the state of Missouri. The requirements are pretty minimal. A lot of students and families get very confused about the title. It says A+. I don't have an A+ GPA, but the GPA is actually that you have to graduate high school with a 2.5. So the A+ word, the wording on there is a little bit deceiving, but I have a 2.5 cumulative GPA unweighted by the time I graduate high school, and I cannot have significant suspensions in high school. I need to be in school, so the attendance rate that they are looking for is 95%. Over the course of high school, that means you can miss about 30 to 35 days across all 4 years. If you have significant, I was in the hospital with mono, right? I had surgery and was recovering. I missed a big chunk of school. There are lots of things that might cause a student to fall below that 95%, and then those are things that we can take to an appeal. So even though the state doesn't care if it's excused, unexcused, it's simply present at school. So we go through an appeal process to explain why we have fallen below that 95%. I present that information to a committee, and then our goal is always to help students try to earn this scholarship. So the attendance, no big suspensions, 2.5 unweighted GPA. The math proficiency piece is that they have to have proficient or advanced on the Algebra 1 end of course exam, so that EOC. If they took Algebra 1 in middle school, then they take the Algebra 2 EOC in high school, and it's just a proficient or advanced. They can also achieve proficiency through the math section of the ACT, and that counts as well. So that's a component. And then they do 50 hours of tutoring or mentoring in Parkway. So it's with Parkway students on Parkway property with a Parkway staff member supervising them. And that can happen all throughout high school. So if they are in 9th grade and they sign up for the A+ program, they have until May of their senior year to get those hours done. If they're a senior in October of high school and they sign up for the A+ program, they have until May to get those hours done. So our goal is that they are navigating through that. Then their final transcript has a seal on it that says they are eligible for, they've met all of the requirements. If that transcript then goes to a community college or technical school, so examples, St. Louis Community College or State Tech for the technical school, the state is covering your tuition. So it's paying for the tuition for, it says up to 6 semesters or until you've completed that associate's degree. So we have students who simply take 2 classes for free the summer after they graduate high school, and off they go to their 4-year institution. And that's what they use their A+ scholarship for, 6 free credit hours. We have students who spend 1 or 2 years getting all of their general education requirements finished at the community college. That's cost is covered. They transfer to a 4-year institution, only have 2 years left of schooling to pay for. And then we have students who simply are looking to earn their associate's degree, and it covers the cost of that. So another benefit and why we think everyone should apply is that it's an insurance policy. We all might know students who went away and then might have had to come back home for some reason or another. I have had students who had a significant illness, either themselves or a family member, and they had to come home, and they were able to then enroll in the community college. They can't go backwards. Every year I have seniors who reach out to me and say, they're in college now, I didn't do A+, but I have to come home and enroll. Like, can I do it now? And it's too late. So going through the motions and signing up for the program and having it finalized, it doesn't expire for 4 years. So it's a great insurance policy. Examples of how to get their hours, they can tutor peers at Central High. Sometimes that's intimidating. And sometimes that is I can't navigate that. The most popular is probably the elementary summer tutoring. Who doesn't want to help with Jumpstart to kindergarten, right? So the students spend 3 weeks at our central area elementary school helping with those elementary teachers with their summer school program. All 50 hours are done in those 3 weeks, and that's checked off their box, and they are able to navigate the program very easily. We also have 3 classes at Parkway Central that are mentor classes, so students can sign up for those in 11th or 12th grade. It's a semester elective class. They get a grade, they get credit, and they get all 50 hours, and they're a buddy in that class to a student at Central that has a significant disability to help them, partner with them through their art, cooking, or PE class. So that helps them kind of, they're a superhero, they're the star, right, of that student's life, and they're getting all of their hours done. Who doesn't love 6th grade camp, right? So outdoor school, if you're a camp counselor, all your 50 hours are done in that week. The Parkway Path program is a program that high school students go down into the middle school and advocate for safe and drug-free programs, total health. That's mentoring other Parkway students. If you're a link leader, you're doing link crew and helping the freshmen transition and navigate high school, that all counts for A+ hours. So there's lots of different ways to get A+. It is not necessary to do community service. All 50 hours can be done, the Parkway mentoring tutoring, but we can accept up to 25 hours of volunteering at any nonprofit organization. Again, that component is not required, but some students want to reduce how much tutoring, mentoring they have to do, and they're already volunteering for something else, and so that allows them to do that. So again, to navigate this A+ program, you simply fill out an interest form. It emails you a participation agreement, and then you start keeping track of your time. And I will show you now the A+ website. So again, going to our counseling site, as you scroll down, along the left, there's that link to the A+ program. So an outline, again, of those requirements for the program, the interest form that students fill out, the handbook, all of those pieces, and then I have links for how to get your tutoring hours, how to get community service, resources that are available. And again, some students are simply looking for where to volunteer. There's everything from the Rabbit Society, who knew? I've had students do that, to working in food pantries and the United Way, all of those options that are available. So that A+ website is where you will find additional information, resources. There are some schools, so even though the focus is to provide your tuition at the community college or a public technical school, there are some four-year institutions that simply give you an award for having this on your transcript. So if you have completed and you are going to Truman, they have $500 a year that they'll give you. So that's a $2,000 scholarship for basically doing things that you would already be doing. Having the GPA, good attendance, no suspensions, and then layering in the community service and tutoring and mentoring. Missouri State has a $500 scholarship as well. So again, that's $2,000 that you can use. That's not coming from the state, that's coming from the actual school. Yeah. Correct. So it doesn't apply to any really schools other than the community college and technical schools, but there are a few schools that just honor that students have done this work and offer that little bonus. Certainly taking the 2 credit hours the summer before transitioning to other campuses, other four-year institutions, whether out of state or private schools, could also be an option. So like Webster is a private school, but they offer a little bonus as well. Yeah, great. Okay, so let's go back. Now let's talk a little bit, and this does not apply to everyone either, but the college athletic piece, just to put on everyone's radar, that if your child is looking at competing in college, the NCAA, Division I or II, or the NAIA, those are 3 college athletic institutions that can award athletic scholarships. Division I and Division II with NCAA or NAIA. Because they are giving an athletic scholarship, they require that you be academically eligible. So maybe you've heard of some athletes who have to redshirt. They're an academic redshirt. So that means they are not yet on scholarship. So we want our students to be academically eligible as well. If you don't know, to participate in high school sports, you simply have to pass 6 classes. So you could have a 1.0. With athletics in college, you have to meet a threshold of core classes and a GPA. It's not extreme, but the core classes, it's not your GPA on your transcript, because they're only pulling out English, math, science, social studies, and world languages. So what is that GPA? When I pull all those letter grades out, what is that GPA? And the most competitive is NCAA Division I, and their cute little saying to help you remember is 2.3 or take a knee. So you're not eligible unless you at least have a 2.3 GPA in your core classes. A threshold to be eligible, right? We have great athletes that graduate from high school and are not eligible to earn an athletic scholarship. So not at all. It used to be. COVID removed that component. When students couldn't test, they had to learn how to do it without, and they haven't yet layered that back in. But what they used to do is an ACT sum. So it wasn't your composite, but it was adding up your individual section scores, and it scaled. The lower your GPA, the higher your ACT had to be, vice versa. It has not come back into the mix yet. And I don't think that it will, but it is certainly possible. So you can create an NCAA account at any point in high school, but certainly by the second semester of your junior year, that prompts me the summer after your junior year to upload your transcript to the NCAA, and they evaluate your courses and then figure out if you're eligible academically. There is a $100 fee to register for NCAA Division I or II, okay? NAIA has a little bit lower threshold. It is at 2.3, or they allow for an ACT of an 18 and a 2.0. And you have to register. It's not core courses, though. Sorry, I should have included that. Also $100. So NAIA, what I basically say is if you think you're more of a Division III athlete, there's no scholarship. But NAIA scholarships are available. Very different types of schools, so it's just the students researching what is available, communicating, creating profiles on college websites. I had a student the other day that said, I don't know if I would be competitive at this particular school. Go to their sports site, look at the stats of the current students that are competing at that level, and evaluate. There's always a prospective student questionnaire on those websites that you can fill out your information, and that's a way to get on the radar. So I am happy to help students navigate all of this, but wanted to put that on the radar. Another special talent you could take to college would be visual or performing arts. If anyone knows anyone that's ever pursued musical theater, it is very difficult. It's a lot. And I've even had students take a full gap year just to be able to apply to programs. So the art component, if you're doing visual arts, the colleges are typically looking for portfolios of your work. Slide Room is a digital site that colleges use where you upload images of your portfolio. So just knowing that if this is the path of your student, that keeping that artwork and keeping images of that work all throughout, usually you have to write artist statements about that work, and that is a little bit trickier for some of the students. But some schools, like SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, you don't need a portfolio for admissions, but you need the portfolio for scholarships. Sometimes, a competitive art school like Rhode Island School of Design, you're preparing artwork specifically for your application. So they all range in what that looks like, so it's doing that research component. For the performing arts, whether it's theater, or music, any type of performing, usually auditions are involved. Some of the schools look for you to do all of that in advance of your application to the university. For others, it is that you have to apply, be admitted, and then have your audition. So it's just really navigating some of those timelines. And I have students this year specifically, they're not pursuing the arts, but that's a significant talent for them. And they want to share that with the colleges. So a lot of the schools, even if you're a non-major, will allow you to share a Slide Room portfolio or to upload videos of your performances. So for many of them, I'm not pursuing that as a degree, but wow, have I spent a lot of time on this, and I would like to share my talent with you. And so some of the reps have even told me, I listen to them playing music while I'm reviewing their application, right? They're learning about you as in many different ways. Okay, transitioning now into testing, because it's so fun. As I talk with the students, testing is easy peasy or like your nemesis, right? There are students who can walk in, take a test, they're not nervous, it's just another day, and 4 hours later I'm finished and carry on. Others, it's gut-wrenching, right? This is super stressful. I have a lot of pressure and I can't achieve. So there have forever, for many, many, many years, not forever, many years, been schools that offer a test optional pathway for admissions. That simply was, if you love your test score and you would like to share that, put that in your file and we'll take that into consideration. If not, it's okay. We'll use your transcript. We'll use your scores or your GPA, the rest of your application to evaluate you. That how you perform on one 4-hour exam doesn't dictate necessarily your ability to be successful in college. Colleges also don't care if it's an ACT or an SAT. It used to be. The coasts were more SAT, everything in the middle was ACT. It doesn't really function like that. All of the tests are available in every state, and even though specific states, maybe the public schools are required to give a specific test, so we give the ACT to all of our students. In the state of Illinois, they give the SAT to all of their students. So there might be a specific type of test that is given in public schools, but they're available, both of them, everywhere, about every other month. So students can choose to include that component or not. When the pandemic caused all of the testing centers to close, ultimately what happened was the colleges had to figure out what to do. How can we make admissions decisions without a test score? And they figured it out. And so most of them said, okay, we are forever now test optional. Some of them are having a harder time with letting that component go, and they're making decisions on an annual basis. So some of them are saying, we are test optional through the class of 2024. We'll let you know in the spring about 2025. That's late, right? So what we do is we're preparing, we're taking these tests, and you will always be able to find schools that provide test optional pathways. They will always be there. If a specific school that you are interested in says, okay, we have to have a test score, then that's where you're trying to navigate. Is this a school I really want to pursue? Do I want to dive into all of this preparation and trying to get the score that I'm, interested, to be more competitive at that school? But there will always be test optional, okay? The super score, is everyone familiar or at least heard that term, is when a college says that they super score, WashU super scores, Mizzou super scores. It's a very common thing. It allows students to, if you've tested over multiple times, so let's say I've taken the ACT 3 times, I could get the same composite every single time. And so I feel like I'm stuck at this number. But on the first test, that was my best English. On the second test, I had my best math. And reading and science were my best on the third test. So what a super score does is pulls out those highest section scores over multiple test dates, and then they create their own composite from those 4 scores. So for some students, that gives them an extra point. I went from a 25 to a 20, my super score is a 26. For some, I was a 31, but my super score is a 32, which is Bright Flight Scholarship in Missouri now, right? So that's $3,000 to stay in the state of Missouri. So it was always a 31, but because they super score now, they've boosted it up to a 32. So the super score is a reason to try multiple times, unless test optional is the path for me, okay? We cover the registration of an official ACT in April of junior year. So we practice on that same test day. We give 9th graders a practice ACT, 10th grade, a small version, something that's not super overwhelming. And then in 10th grade, they take a pre-ACT, which is from the ACT Corporation. They score it, give a projected score for an actual ACT, and then it's a real official ACT in April. Outside of that, it's a family decision about taking other tests, taking an SAT, trying the ACT additional times. Again, they're offered about every other month, 4 hours on a Saturday morning. Those are the things that you're planning and scheduling. Do you take it in the summer? Do you take it in the fall? Do you take it in the winter? Do you take it in the spring? What else is on their plate? All of those things. Ultimately, I say a student is really ready to take an official ACT. They need to have had at least a full year of geometry, should be into Algebra 2, that exposure to trigonometry that could happen. So prior to that, they're answering a lot of math that they haven't had an opportunity to learn. But once they get to that higher, component of math, if you're in Honors 2 Trig in 9th grade, then as a 10th grader, you're really ready to take an ACT. But if you are in Algebra 1 in 9th grade, then really junior year is most appropriate to have that math foundation. Every year, the cost of the test goes up, and fee waivers are available for students that qualify for meal benefits. This is what that looks like. So to take an ACT outside of that April test that we give in junior year, it's just going to their website, making an account for the student. It's almost $70 to do that. The ACT has an optional writing component. No one needs it. Don't pay for that. I think one of the military academies requires it. That's it. So really, the with no writing is the SAT completely got rid of the writing. So that base ACT or SAT is sufficient. And as you see, every other month is really what's available, including summer. If a student has testing accommodations through an IEP or 504, those have to be applied for through your counselor or me, usually about 6 weeks in advance. So you register for the test, about a month, 5 weeks before, but the accommodations piece is usually a little bit earlier than that. If test prep is something that you are interested in pursuing, again, my philosophy is exhaust all your free resources first, because we have test optional. So if you're paying a lot of money to try to get a specific test score that really your transcript alone would have been sufficient for the university, then that's what you should focus on. The testing page on our website, so again, all of this is Parkway Central High School, clicking on counseling, and then testing. When you click on that particular page, that takes you to, first, all the test optional sites. So fairtest.org is a website that maintains every school in the country that doesn't require test scores and what those policies are. And then there's some other guides in there. Links to free resources, and then Parkway maintains a fee-based site, or handout, that they have vetted all of the classes and tutors, and we can't advertise like a specific, this is who I think you should go to, but we can provide a resource that includes all of the options that the district has vetted, and then I just say, research them, right? You're trying to find a tutor, a class that's going to fit your student the best. And then the information about accommodations is on there as well. Okay, another thing that I think is important in college research is connecting with colleges. So as I advertised out, the beginning of September was a Parkway Rockwood College Fair. We had that at Queenie Park. If anyone went to that, it can be very overwhelming. It is a lot of people, it's a lot of colleges, but it is a way for students to just kind of put their toe in the process. It's safe. I'm walking around, it's very crowded, and I'm just gonna what's this school? You scan in with them, you get their brochures, information, sometimes stickers. They're trying to get information in the hands of students. So those fairs that happened in September, if you missed them, that's okay. We have another one at the end of the month. It's on a Sunday afternoon from 1 to 4, October 29th, and St. Louis University hosts that every year. You don't have to dive into that as a 9th grade family, but you can. It's also something, all of these events happen annually. So when your family is ready to get into that process, again, the information is all there. We will have a spring fair that's usually in April. It's often at Maryville, which is very easy for us. So the college series page, so where you got information about all of these events, right? So the SLU Fair is right there, and it shows you how to register, a list of the colleges that will be there, so you can look at that in advance. Really, what I think is important about the fairs, they do create that registration piece. Back in the old days, you had to walk up to a booth and fill out a little card, and you handed it back to the college, and then they went back, and now you're in their database. Now you do the registration online, and you get a QR code. So when you scan in with the colleges, they're seeing that connection. It's not as influential as it has been in the past, but some colleges still track interest. American University in Washington, D.C. tracks interest. So the students that scan in with them at the fair, they have that in their file. When the rep came to Parkway Central, we had 3 students that came and met with her. That's in their file. So for some schools, they're looking at, have you made connections with them? Are you trying to research? Are you trying to learn more about us to figure out if this is a good fit for you? So that's that component of just touching base with them. A fair is not really a place to have a big conversation and get all my questions answered, because there's usually a line of people trying to scan in and connect. It's really a touch point of give me this information, I'm giving you my information, and now I take this stuff away and I'm gonna read a little bit more about it. Now I'm in your database, and now I can maybe do an information session, and then I can connect with this particular rep later. So figuring out who's gonna be there, who you wanna see, and really connecting and helping students kind of navigate, okay, I am going to be the person and the lead in this process, right? Hi, my name is. It's a great event for parents to be a part of as well, but it's also helping them to get in there. And then if you have questions, now I have the rep's information, and I can follow up with that through an email. As I mentioned in the beginning, getting on campuses is very, very valuable. I understand that summer is a great time to visit. It's when there's more flexibility, but I do discourage that from being the plan. When you're visiting colleges in the summer, you get to see the buildings, but you miss the entire community. So if you're trying to figure out, is this a good fit for me? Are my people there, right? That's very difficult if you're walking around an empty campus, or maybe there's a handful of people who are taking summer classes. If it's the only option, then obviously that's better than nothing. But doing virtual sessions, and I don't expect anyone to be flying all over the country, getting on every single campus they're considering. But if you're traveling, if you live in my household, you're on a college campus everywhere you go. Right? Last summer we were in the Northeast, and my whole family was on 18 college campuses, right? Just touching bit, learning, seeing, visualizing, and it was in the summer. There weren't people there, but that's when we could do it. So it makes sense, but if you're really taking a dive into learning about the school, figuring out if it's a good fit, then trying to do that while school is in session is very important. As I told the students, we have fall break. We have spring break. We have days that we're off, President's Day, MLK. Can you be intentional and visit campuses on during some of those times? If students miss school for a campus visit, it is an excused absence. So as you call the attendance, it's just letting them know that they're on a college visit, and that's how it's coded in Infinite Campus. It is an excused absence. We don't take a 3-week tour of the coast for a college visit, right? So use them wisely. There's not like a maximum number, but you're still responsible for the things that you miss. But the college visits are really valuable for, oftentimes you're connecting with professors. Maybe you want to pursue computer science and you want to connect with a professor in that field to learn specifically about a program that they offer. Maybe you are really interested in this club or organization and you want to see and connect with someone. You can tailor most of your college visits. There are often gigantic like junior preview days where hundreds of people are coming on a specific day, but you can also just click on the calendar on their website, go to their website, click visit, and then it will tell you. It's usually Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturdays, that they offer visits at specific times, so just trying to get those planned. As you can see, I put admitted student day. Some students don't visit anywhere until they've applied and been accepted, right? Like, I'll see if I get in, and then if I get in, I'll visit the campus and see if I actually want to attend. Others are like, oh, I'm not paying money to apply and write all these essays unless I visit and know I love it. Whatever philosophy works for your household or for each individual school or the destinations, what makes sense. But obviously, I hope that you visit before you actually, I hope move-in day is not the first time that you're on campus. So trying to get that and be intentional about that. And then, of course, they can visit when they come to PCH. Some free resources that are available outside of me and the things that we offer at Parkway Central. We partner with a program, a local company organization called Mentors for College. That is their website, literally mentors with the number 4 college.org. They are volunteers who will partner with families. They will meet with parents, students, nights, weekends, summers, so very different hours than I am able to hold. But they really want to connect with students as early as 9th grade, and they kind of help you all throughout high school to connect with and stay on top of and on track with your planning, with your research. They host webinars every month. And then post those online on their website so you can go back and even watch all of the webinars and the different topics that are available. And they're short, they're like 30 minutes. And they offer free workshops for students. Essay writing workshops, interview workshops. So if a student is going for a scholarship and they want interview practice, they have people who will sit with the students and like practice with them and help them and coach them through that. So it's a great resource. They are completely free. And then they look for family members to give back. You go through this process, you learn so much. What would you do differently? What would you advise to other families? Would you like to become a mentor and go through the training and give back to your community as well? So it continues because people go through the process and then want to give back as well. We also partner as a district with Miss Peggy Hull. She is with Superior Support Services, and she focuses specifically on helping underrepresented students. So students of color, families with financial barriers, and first-generation college students. She hosts workshops during academic lab all throughout the year and offers Zoom sessions in the evenings with families and students. So that is a support that is available for all of our students. She mostly is working with seniors right now, but will transition all the way to juniors, freshmen, sophomores. And so if that is something that you think would be a good fit for your student, connect with me or the comprehensive counselor, and we'll make sure that they are in touch with Miss Peggy. And finally, the UMSL campus offers what's called a bridge program. Really, this is a resource that's free to the St. Louis area, and it's a summer program for students currently in 9th or 10th grade, so they will be rising sophomores, rising juniors, and they are really doing like are you prepared for college? Are you getting the skills that you need to be successful? So they have enrichment in math and science, communication, and then they help them kind of dive into career research, development, and support them throughout their college planning. As you can see, those current 9th and 10th graders, they are looking for a 2.5 GPA, completion of algebra. So 9th graders currently in algebra will have finished that by the time of the program. So that is a spring application, and it's on their website that you can learn and research that Summer Bridge Academy. So that resource is available as well. And then the rest of the time, we're going to dive into Naviance. So Naviance is the college platform that we use. I think we spoke recently that we've been using it for around 20 years in Parkway. It is very possible that we're transitioning to a different platform next year that will provide still all of the resources, everything that's in Naviance. The new resource will have as well. It just will look a lot fancier and be more intuitive for students and families to navigate because Naviance just when you get in it, you're going to see like it looks really dull. It has a lot of great stuff, but you know the students don't really engage with it very much unless they're in workshops with us and we're making them use it. And then they have to use it in 12th grade to do all of their stuff. But as you can see, it has a lot of valuable things. Researching colleges. I would say one of the most popular things for parents as well as the students is all of the historical acceptance data. So going to a particular school and seeing like all the data of students from Central that applied to that school. What was their ACT GPA combo? Did they get in? Did they not get in? Is it a red X or a green check mark? So those are very popular scattergrams is what they're called. It's where we post all of our scholarships, where students sign up to meet with the college reps when they come. And that's where the 9th and 10th graders have done their inventories. So in 9th grade, we have them do a strengths explorer, so they would have done that this month with their counselor. And then in 10th grade, they do the career interest profiler. So they would have done that in the workshop with their counselor earlier this month as well. So we will now navigate to that. And as I've noted on the bottom of the screen, there are parent accounts for Naviance. So all of the students have Naviance accounts and use them in every workshop that we do with them. And so they're familiar with the process. They will maybe tell you they've never heard of it, but they've all logged in, they've all done these things in their workshops. And of course, as they progress throughout high school in 12th grade, that's where they have to go to request their transcripts, invite their teachers to write rec letters, do all of their application pieces. So there are parent accounts that I can activate with the click of a button. So if you see this demo and decide, okay, I want to look at that, I want to have my own account, you know, absolutely, I am happy to do that. You just email me and I'll push a button and set it up for you. Yes. So as a parent, you can even toggle between children if you have multiple students. It allows you to switch back and forth. So your one account gets you everything. And then you can see the inventory results that they have in there. If they've already started putting colleges into the colleges I'm thinking about, you'll see that information as well. And you can access all of the stuff that we see. You will be able to see. You just can't request transcripts and the things that it makes the students do. Okay, so guess what? We're going to the counseling website, as we have all night. So from the counseling site, then the link is right here for Naviance. So the students log in, and I'm going to have to flip and do my account to get into a demo, but the students clearly say, I'm a student, and then they don't have to know a username or password. They click on Continue with Clever, type in that they are at Parkway Central High, and then it's their Google login, okay? Once they've done this, like, so a junior today was like, mine's already here. Like, that's because you're using it regularly. And so they don't have to, like, go through all of these particular steps. So I am going to have to quickly, go into my demo. So as you log in, as they log in, this is then what they see. So this is the portal for everything. So the self-discovery section, this is where those inventories are. So in 9th grade, they do this Strengths Explorer. So it's 78 short questions. They do it just one time. It only takes them about 10 or 15 minutes. And then it gives them the results that really shows them what their particular talents might be. The Career Interest Profiler also takes about 15 minutes. And if you've ever heard of the Holland Code for interest inventories, that's what this is ultimately giving them. So it might say that their affinity is toward like social careers, realistic careers, investigative careers. And so it's giving them their strengths and then telling them what careers are connected to those particular fields. I will also go back to when I showed you that junior class page, the career research, so doing the Strengths Explorer and the Interest Profiler. Then the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, has something called Need Help Picking a Major tool. And so it uses the Holland Code. That's what the Career Interest Inventory gives them. So they don't have to do that on their website. They simply take, okay, here was my result. My Holland Code was that my Holland type was conventional. So what would be majors connected with that? And even though it's saying this is for the University of Illinois, right? These are all fields like, okay, if I don't have to study physics at the University of Illinois. Like, it's just a tool that we allow students to say, okay, this was my Holland type. Here are majors that might be a good fit for me. So that's going back to that career page. So if your student is in 11th or 12th grade and hasn't done any of these things and has no idea what they want to major in, like, have you done your Strengths Explorer, your Career Interest Profiler? Every single 9th grader should have done the Strengths Explorer now. Every single 10th grader should have done also the Career Interest Profiler, okay? And then in the colleges section, this is where then the bulk of that research comes. So I'll start on this side with the scholarships and money. So the scholarship search, again, as a parent, in a parent account or the student account, you can see the scholarships that we have posted. And most of them are for seniors, but they are annual. So if a student has interest in a particular scholarship, they can favorite it, and it's going to save that for them. You can favorite it for them, and then it pulls it out of the list and puts it in a little section for them of like, okay, go work on this one. As I mentioned earlier, there's 2 databases inside of here. So My Scholarship Central is a St. Louis Metro database. So it's local scholarships that are going to St. Louis area students. And then the Going Merry is a national database. So the national databases often have scholarships that students can start applying for in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade. But a lot of the others are like, these are for specifically seniors. So the national databases do have a little bit more for that. In this section, there's also a national scholarship search. This is the one I mentioned, had 3.5 million scholarships. you fill out a profile about yourself, so you can say, like, I'm a junior, and I have this GPA, and I have, I am this ethnic heritage and this religious affiliation, and it's searching that database and matching you with scholarships that might be compatible with you, okay? And then the college specific is really type in your stats, which for the students, it's gonna fill in for them. If they have, their GPA is gonna be in there if they don't have a test score yet. And then my demo is blank, but if I say I have a 3.2 GPA, it's like pulling in scholarships now. Like, these are schools that you might get scholarships at. So that's in under colleges, that scholarships and money section. The seniors are really the only ones doing this apply to college. Like, where am I applying? Requesting transcript rec letters. They know how to do that. Well, most of them know how to do that. I'll go backwards. The research section, I'm going to highlight the college visits. So these are the schools that are making appointments at Central, right? They started in September, the day after Labor Day, so they've been visiting all throughout the fall, and they visit every year. So no one has missed anything. It is an annual event. You know, the juniors found out, like, what, USC was here? They're coming again. It's okay. The schools are wide-ranging, right? Today, State Tech was here, so that's our public technical school in the state of Missouri. Tomorrow morning, Missouri State will be here. Illinois College. Tuesday, we have Tulane, Missouri S&T, the Air Force, SEMO, Loyola, Ohio, Boulder, Tulsa, Ole Miss, on and on, right? So as I talk to them, is it easier to drive to Oxford, Mississippi, or to walk to the counseling classroom to learn more about Ole Miss? So it is during the day, it is during class, and I had a student say, okay, I really don't want to come out of this particular class, but I'm doing a campus visit. Like, the campus visit is great, that's sufficient, and that's awesome. But if you can't make it to campus, can you make it to the visit? And when the students, as you can see, it says register now. So that's something in the parent account you can't register, but the student can register now, and then that alerts our counseling secretary that she gets a list of who's registered, and she sends passes for them to come to the counseling office during that visit time. This is just going to be an easy way that I also connect to a college, right? So any college that you navigate to in Naviance is going to give you all of their information. So the overview, this cute little heart, is how they save it. Like, this is the school I'm thinking about. So the students start building that list. WashU is a school I'm really interested in. Put it in your Naviance, because then when they schedule a visit with Parkway Central, it will email you and say, oh, you're thinking about this school. They're coming to Central on this date and time. You're not committing to anything. You're saving that piece. The college overlaps, the acceptance rates, some of those pieces are important. Some students are like, I like this one school. What else should I be looking at? So the overlaps are students from Central that applied to the University of Tulsa. Where else did they apply? So it helps them kind of learn and brainstorm new other ideas based on the research of other students. All of my notes are going to be in the counselor comment section. So when the reps come to Parkway Central, I'm typing the whole time. So students that can't come out of class, or they are, totally missed it, didn't know they were coming, those are all of the notes that I'm going to be putting in there, and as parents, you can see those as well. So my comments are in there. Student life, that's where you're going to learn a little bit more about, like, oh, it's 342 miles from home. Like, is that okay with you? And, do you have a radius, a driving distance from home that's comfortable? So for some students, seeing that number is like, oh, Okay, or that's not far enough, right? That's what a lot of them are saying. How big is the school? So maybe I've heard of Tulsa. I know it has Division I sports, but wow, it's tiny. There's only, oh, wow, the news is coming. Only 3,300 students, undergrads, and 4,400 students total. The admissions. This is where you find the charts, right? So we have great success with the University of Tulsa. Green check marks are students who were accepted and what that average GPA ACT looks like. So the average is a 29 and a 3.82. I would say the draw for Tulsa for our students is that they have significant awards for students who become national merit semifinalists. I think they said this year their freshman class has more national merits than any other school in the country. So because they have big scholarship benefits like that, the average of our students applying is at a higher level. So let's see if I go back to overlaps, that's going to let me see some other schools. So students also applied to Mizzou, SLU, Purdue, WashU, S&T, KU, Truman. So if I click on WashU, then that's going to take me to their page, right? So I'm navigating to a whole different school. If I click on their chart, so again, that's on the admissions tab, it's not so cute, right? And it's very cluttered. We have a lot of students who apply, right? Maybe I want to get rid of, let's pretend like everyone's accepted. I'm toggling off all of those other things and just seeing, okay, my average is a 4.35 and a 33.5 ACT, right? That bottom axis is the ACT score, yes. So if I look at all those X's, right, it's a lot. That tells me then when I'm looking at their acceptance rate, so in this database it's showing us 15%. Last year their acceptance rate was about 12%. So this is what helps students, families understand, is this a reach for me? Is this a slam dunk? And as you navigate, you want to build that list that has a little bit of all of it, right? Schools that I'm very confident about academically, financially, schools that maybe are a reach for me, whether that's statistically or financially or academically. It's not a guarantee. Maybe I'm a little bit below that profile. And that's where, if I have the GPA, let's say I have, a 4.3 GPA, but I have a 28 on my ACT, then what? If they're telling me their average ACT is a 33 to a 35 and I have a 28, but my GPA is there, then I'm applying test optional. They don't need to know I have a 28 on my ACT, right? They're only using my transcript. And I'm writing an essay for them. I'm getting rec letters for them. And they're seeing all of my activities. And so they're doing a very different type of review. So again, the students are saving those schools into that colleges that I'm thinking about. And as they build that list, then they can compare themselves. Here's all the schools I'm thinking about. I'm going to compare myself, and this is my demo, so I have no grades or GPA, and everything is a red X. But you can see, okay, I'm green. I'm all green at this school. This is going to be a stretch. This is going to be something that is more of a safe zone for me. And then we're looking at acceptance rates. Just are the odds with me or against me? And comparing yourself, if you just like the charts under the Find Your Fit, the scattergrams, it's just going school by school looking at charts. And, it can suck up a lot of your time. You can spiral away into scattergrams. But it just helps with perspective. Right? The goal is not to feel defeated, right? When you're looking at charts, it's, okay, this one is going to be a reach, or this one's a reach for everyone, right? When I look at this particular data, this is a school I feel very confident about. So there's that component of, if every single school I apply to, I'm surrounded by red X's, or I look and, their admit rate is 15% or less, if that's every single school on my list, I'm putting myself in a position of being denied to all of my schools. It's an 85% chance or less at each of those institutions. So what you don't want is then I throw in this random school that's a slam dunk, but I don't want to go there, right? That's not a backup plan. That's not a safety school. Every school that you're thinking about should be a school that, I'm excited to put that sweatshirt on and walk around the last week of school saying, this is where I'm going to college. So that component of, what is your safety? What is your target school? And yet you're reaching for these schools like that. You're a competitive applicant. That's the goal. Like, if I'm reaching for a school, I want to be somewhere in their average range, somewhere like a special talent that I'm bringing to that campus, whatever the case may be. So that I'm reaching for it. It might be a little low academically, or it might be only an option for me if the financial piece works out, whatever the case may be, or I'm competitive for everything. But statistically, the odds are not with me. I also need schools that I would love to go to. I feel confident about admissions. Maybe I can go there for free, right? And that's my why, because I have this huge scholarship offer. So as you build the list of, here are all the schools I'm applying to, those are the things that you're really, I'm hoping that you're considering. Again, a good fit academically, socially, financially. So with this particular resource, again, you will be able to navigate, see all of those things under the communicate section. If we have a specific rep that works with Parkway Central, their name and email address is going to be in here. So as I tell the students, the person who comes to Parkway Central is typically the person who is your first reader of your application, maybe the only reader of your application, depending on the size of the school and the volume. So as you think about that, if all I do is apply, I've never communicated, I've never researched, I haven't, met with anyone, you're just data. But if you're connecting with them, you're doing campus visits, or you're meeting with them at Parkway Central, or touching base with them at a fair, you're becoming a human. And those individual components could make a difference as you're applying. So encouraging, just throughout to that research component, utilizing all of the things that we have on our website. The next events that we have coming up, Financial Aid 101, a financial aid officer from St. Louis University is going to come. Really, the FAFSA is changing completely right now. So our beautiful set design that's semi-constructed right now will be full-blown by then. So we will be meeting actually out in the Commons for that. And that is an event that we are also inviting the other 3 high schools to participate in. So that will be in the Commons on Tuesday from 6 to 7:30, the 24th. And then, as I mentioned earlier, that if you need to connect and think a college fair is a good option for you, October 29th, that Sunday. It's not a go there for 3 hours. It's any time in that window, and for however long you want to be there. There might be one school on the list, I'm not going to make it to this state. I'm going to go connect with that school, and you're there for 15 minutes. But doing one of those would be advantageous as well. So Thank you so much for coming. Hopefully you learned some about all of the resources that we have available, and you will dive into them and tell all of your friends. For those of you who would like to activate your Naviance account, I am happy to even do that before you leave this evening. Just swing by. Otherwise, shoot me an email. And I will, again, it takes me 1 second to click a button. So I am happy to do that. So those of you watching live stream or the recording later, email me and I will activate that Naviance account for you. And shout out to William for setting up all the technology. Have a good night. Yes, thank you.